welcome to Local Roots Podcast. We have some very special guests. In the flesh, we have Brian Zajac.
Hello.
And across the pond, we have Gareth and Dom. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi.
And
Hey guys.
kind of go from there. Where are you guys coming to us from?
Okay, I'll go first. Dominik here, calling in from Germany. Just got back on Sunday. Spent a couple more days. I've been riding for 15 years now, and it's been my first 6-day enduro race. I've been racing on 2 other races, but that's like 10 years ago. So my first race with that kind of experience. Yeah.
Okay. So what's your, kind of, if you were to go out for a ride on like a Tuesday after work, what kind of terrain and like what kind of length of ride are you doing?
We have mountains right behind the city. So I'm in Frankfurt, Germany. It's 50 minutes by car from my place. And then we ride up like 500 meters. And then we bump down for like 10 minutes. We can connect lots of trails here.
Okay.
And it's quite rocky right now. It's also bone dry. And already a little bit shocked.
Don't tell us about your love life in Germany. So.
Yeah, it's quite rocky at times. Loose rocks, so that's what I tumbled over today.
Ooh.
And lots of roots, exposed roots, wet roots when it's raining. No mud, pretty steep, pretty technical terrain. So we have some switchbacks and really steep trails across everything.
Okay. Is mountain biking really big in the area where you live?
Not sure. So it's quite big. There's lots of mountain bikers here. But it isn't... There's not much of a community going on as I experienced it in other parts of the world, since it's mostly done on illegal trails. I guess we don't have many legal mountain bike trails, like special mountain bike trails. We only have a couple of them.
Okay.
And most riding is done on hiking trails or on illegal trails, which is sometimes unclear. Like some of our really good trails have turned into hiking trails, so people like those a lot too. But there's lots of riders here, and it's a typical activity for many people around here.
Okay, got it. So I would say like where Brian and myself are coming to you from, like Grand Rapids area, it's like a really, really big community. But we're also not riding anywhere near the kind of terrain that it sounds like was by you guys. So maybe that's something to do with it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Brian probably gets bored whenever, but that's what we have here. So Gareth, what about you? Where are you coming to us from?
Yeah, so I'm Gareth. I am calling in from sunny Buckinghamshire, about 50 miles north of London. And I've been riding on and off a really long time.
A really long time.
Yeah, 25 years plus. I should be way better at it.
Wow.
And yeah, this was my second trans style race, but it's the first one I didn't finish. So that was a bit of a downer, but it's all good. It's all good.
Okay, well, we'll get to what happened on that race. But, kind of the same question to you. When you go out for a ride, how long are your rides? What kind of terrain are you looking at and things like that?
Yeah, for the last 3 years, I worked for an American company working like semi-EST hours.
Okay.
So I've been my new job I did like 9 to 5. My old job I did like 12 till 9:30. So I used to ride a hell of a lot because I live relatively near a small bike park, a place called Aston Hill. So I used to ride there maybe 3-4 times a week and get an XE ride in as well. So typical ride there might be drive there and do 8 or 10 downhill laps, get 800 meters, 1,000 meters descending in a couple of hours. I got on the e-bike wagon a couple of years ago, so then it was just ride my e-bike to the trail and spend an hour doing 8 laps and getting the same amount of riding in. And it's sort of straight down, 100 meters, pretty steep. It's very chalky where I am. Everywhere is kind of chalk. So as soon as the mud gets scraped off, you got this like bedrock chalk, and when it's wet, it's like glass, and when it's not wet, it's really quite fun to ride. And there's roots and mud and all the British stuff. Bike park's closed at the minute because all the trees are sick and they're scared of people getting the trees falling on people's heads. But there's plenty of like good XC riding around me, but biggest hill is like 100 meters vert. If you want to do bigger than that, maybe 3 hours into Wales, I can be in Scotland, Tweed Valley in 6 hours. So by US standards, everything's close for me to get to in the car.
He just got 2 of the coolest new toys ever.
What'd you get?
I bought a Porsche 911 GTS that I got on Saturday, and I bought a Santa Cruz Bullet back in November last year, and I got the call as I was getting on just between planes in Lisbon that it's just arrived. So I'm picking that up hopefully on Wednesday next week.
Oh shit! Gotta ask. What do you do for a living?
I work in advertising technology.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good for buying bikes and Porsches, but it's not that rad or interesting.
Good for buying bikes and Porsches. Yeah, it could be a band or something. Wow. All right. Cool. Dom, what do you do for work?
I'm a physicist by education, and currently I work as a business analyst. So it doesn't sound really interesting either. Doing stuff in the background so that the government can keep working on, and yeah.
That sounds very interesting, especially coming from.
Not to nerd out too much. What's your degree in? Is it straight physics or?
Yeah, straight physics.
That's quite cool, dude. But I think I might be a nerd, so.
I think that's awesome.
I am too.
I think we're all nerds.
Now,
Yeah.
physics question. I was just talking to my buddy this morning, actually, maybe some coffee talk. So when the study that showed when you're shooting electrons through a gate, that when no one was watching, they made a certain pattern. And then when somebody was watching, the electrons made a different pattern. Is that BS, or is that a real phenomena?
Well, I think the description is a little bit off, but yeah, generally that's you can do weird things with electrons. Like sometimes it behaves like matter, sometimes it behaves like light, and that's very different.
That's what happened. Yeah, that's kind of what. Yeah, so it was. I don't know. It was wild.
Yeah. So light behaves like waves, and you get like interference patterns. Like when you throw 2 stones into a lake, and you see the waves hitting each other. Okay. You see like different patterns creating. So this is what light behaves like. Okay. And if you just throw a handful of stones at something, that's what matter behaves like. So no interference. And with electrons, you can achieve both, which is kind of mind-boggling because usually you either have matter or you have light, and electrons can apparently behave like either. So nobody really knows what's going on there. Like physicists pretend to do that they understand what's going on, but really no one really does.
The more physics I read, like the less I know. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Don't worry.
It is some really definitely cool shit now. So I guess, and everyone knows Brian. He's been on the pod before. Local Grand Rapidian. Ride bikes to them all the time.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to your introduction, Brian?
No, it's good to not be over the phone and be in person.
Much better this way. So, I mean, do you guys want to start? You guys want to talk about the race?
Yeah. I can see Brian wearing the TransAtlantis shirt. That's a nice touch. I forgot about that.
I also have the jersey right here.
Oh yeah, that jersey's nice. I like it.
Is yours like spray on as well? Mine's on the tight side.
Spray.
I actually haven't tried it on yet.
I'm gonna make it my new race jersey. I think it's gonna be aero. I think it might shave a few seconds on a windy day.
You can use it on your e-bike when you're going really fast.
Yeah.
The participation award here.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
It's not terribly tight, but the arms are a little tight.
That's pretty snug.
You put full aero, mate. Full aero.
It won't fit my freaking my muscular body. I guess we don't go first. This is in the order that we're talking. Right? Dom, what are your initial thoughts off the cuff? What'd you think of the race?
You guys want to go day by day and kind of?
Yeah, we can try. So let's go with the prep day first. I got there a little bit late. I got my own shuttle, so I went with a taxi because it was already on the island surfing a couple days.
Okay.
And when we drove down the valley, I already saw some guys cycling up, and I was like, oh no, shit, I have to build up my bike and then ride that up again too. So just throw me out here. And it was a really good sunny day in that beautiful valley in Zivcic, or whatever it's called. A couple of volcano craters. And I pulled up my bike, went up to the DH trail, which was one of the 2 available trails on the prep day, and met Brian on the uphill all day already. He was already bombing down. I went to the top. He already warned me. It's pretty steep and muddy and slippery. I went to the top, got chased by a real big farmer's dog, but he didn't bite me, so good luck with that. And then I started the trail. I met actually Leon and Moto at the top, the guy that we thought were father and son, but actually were 2 friends. Leon was pretty young, 17 years old. And they already came up hiking from the trail, and they were pretty worried about the trail. They told me some guy that went in front of them actually high-sided a corner and went to the bushes almost over the cliff. I later learned that is the guy right next to you.
It only took me 5 days to figure out how to not ride off cliffs.
Yeah, I started well with that. So Leon and Moto went in front of me again. They were really like checking out the trail, looking for lines and everything. And I just went blind, thought, what the hell, let's just go, see what happens. Was pretty steep, was a real DH trail, so not meant to be raced blind because there were lots of gaps. Sometimes there were gaps, sometimes there weren't. You couldn't really tell. The berms were pretty slippery because of the rain of the previous days. And there was one right-hand corner where I was going really fast downhill, also slipped, also high-sided over the corner. I learned it was the exact same corner that Brian slipped off as well. That's what Leon told me then.
Tina fell off.
And I was a little bit scared. So I went down that trail like I couldn't jump all the gaps running blind. So I hiked some of them. Next part of the trail was actually pretty good. I could ride most of it. So, like, there were a couple of really sketchy sections, deep ruts and deep drop-offs. And with the slipperiness was hard to do. I didn't do the other trail that was available, which was a mistake because we raced that track on the next day. So I didn't know what was coming. Funny note, everybody was
at the same time, though, you didn't miss much not riding that trail twice, though.
Well,
once was enough.
I missed that rut, so that cost me a couple of precious seconds. Yeah. I went right into that rut. Yeah. Everyone at the camp was relieved to hear from Carlos that the DH trail was supposed to be like the upper limit of scariness that we were going to ride, which turned out, not exactly to be true. But it was more of the conditions. So the track in itself was built for real downhillers to train for nationals. So I can understand why this was a hard track. Gareth, how was your first day? The preparation day?
Yeah, well, I got the day before, and it was raining as hard as I'd ever seen it rain anyway. I mean, it rains a lot in the UK. It wasn't raining harder than the UK, but it was raining as hard as it can rain here. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And I was speaking to the guy, I got a shuttle with the race guys. And I was like, cool. So how long has it been raining like this? And they're like, a few weeks. And I've ridden in Madeira before, and I was kind of under the false assumption that the terrain and the weather would be similar, but obviously the Azores is quite a distance from Madeira, and it's a very different style of island in terms of topography and dirt and stuff like that. Because when I rode in Madeira, it rained heavily for 2 days, and then the sun came out and dried the trails, and we had wet slop fest for 2 days, an intermediate day, and then hero dirt for 2 days. So I was like, it'd be hero dirt in a day or two. And the guy's like,
yeah.
He showed me some pictures of a DH race, and they all look like just like Clayface out of Batman. Like they're just all like mud. It's like, I'm from the UK, this would be fine. So I had a night in a hotel, which is pretty cool. Just chilled out on my own, slept in a bed, and then got picked up in the morning, off to Camp 1, started bumping into people, built my bike up, sun came out, it was raining, and I was like, here we go. And then the sun came out, and it turned into a beautiful afternoon. So I rode up the hill with a couple of German guys, Lucas and Stefan, and we rode the cross-country trail first. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, riding that as a warm-up ride is pretty mellow. That flat bit at the start, you had to sprint. When you're just pedaling down that, talking to people, it didn't feel as long as it was when I was having to sprint down it. Found the route on the one little downhill, the rut by the route, so I knew all about that. And then rode up the hill, blown away on the ride up to the DH trail with the views and stuff of the lakes in the volcanic craters. And then rode that DH trail, and first thoughts were how kind of soft the mud was. Not like any mud I've ridden around here. It was you were almost cutting a rut in it, just riding it. And I was like, some of these catch berms are going to be sketchy. I can see why you guys were high siding out of them, because they were weird, like hitting a gravel trap almost. But that was a pretty gnarly trail to ride blind as a warm-up trail. When I did Trans-Provence, I had the biggest crash I've ever had, where I haven't sustained you're not going to ride your bike for a few days style injury. So I was quite like, all right, don't be a hero. Because I finished TP in survival mode, like take it easy. So I took it relatively easy on that trail. Hit some of the gaps, didn't hit some of the gaps, but generally had a lot of fun on it. It was a really good trail. I think if you took the time to play around on it, it'd have been wicked fun. Day one, like stoke was high, and I was like, don't be a hero, ride well within your limits, build some speed, and went into day one with that mentality. Oh, sorry, day 2 or day 1 of the race with that mentality.
Yeah, day 0 was an eye opener. Like, I flew in and got in at like 6 a.m. and immediately got picked up at the airport by Carlos, and then
he picked you up?
Yeah, I was
nice of him.
I was with the media crew all morning, and watched them set up camp in the rain. My bag and my bike wasn't there yet, so I didn't have any clothes. I was trying to stay dry. And then when it came time to like go up, I mean, the first thing I noticed was the first climb was intense. It was up like this farm road that had random like erosion built cobblestones in it. And it was pretty steep. Like immediately it was eagle gear. And just like they said, the first trail is pretty easy. It was a little more slippery than I thought it was going to be. It looked like it would be like the kind of mud your tires would grip in, but it ended up being, if you put too much weight on your front wheel, it was sliding out on you. Yikes. Then we rode down and made the second climb, which was real big, and that's when I realized that the climbing was going to be no joke on this one, because volcanic islands are a lot steeper than regular mountains.
No islands.
Yeah. And they don't really care about what grade they go up. Like there was like road later in the trip that we had to drive up in a car that was like a 20-some% grade, and it was like, no, only one person rode up it that I know of. But then
Probably Phil, huh?
it was. We got the downhill trail, and I was riding with the photographers, so immediately,
Okay.
of course, I have to try to like
Look cool.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just riding so terrible, and it's slippery. And we got a couple good shots out of it, but then I high-sided that berm and ended up in a raspberry bush, and that was pretty much
Were they ripe?
They were. I did eat a couple
Did you
while I was
get-
later.
Well, that's good.
I was bleeding all over the place.
Hey, silver lining and everything.
Yeah, and then as far as camp went, the first night it was interesting. The first night was really interesting because everyone was kind of like clicked up by their language barriers.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
There's like a group of Czech guys, a group of German guys, a couple
Okay.
English guys. Like it was pretty spread out. Not a ton of interacting.
Were you
Everyone
the
was
only
pretty tired.
American?
I was the only American rider.
Okay.
North American champion.
There you go.
There you go. That's pretty cool.
Uncontested even.
Yeah.
Uncontested. Don't tell anybody that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was the first night. Everyone went to bed at like 9 o'clock. It was all you heard was the pitter patter of zippers for like the first.
They didn't have a generator for the beer wagon, so there wasn't much incentive to stay up.
Yeah. No beer the first night.
Probably saved you guys.
Yeah, probably.
Also, no warm showers. So me and Brian opted for the lake instead of showering cold. That was good. Good decision.
That was the next day, I think, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, we stayed there for another day.
I had a cold shower on day 0. So anyone coming into the dude showers would just open air.
Yeah.
And anyone coming up the driveway to come into the campsite just saw up to 3 dudes taking a shower.
Hey, this is me.
There's no sign above it that says cold water either.
I was in the pool. The water's really cold, I promise.
It was. That's my excuse.
Yeah.
All right. So day 1, you guys kind of get your bearings, whatever.
It's day 0.
It's day 0. Okay.
Next day is day 1.
Next day is race first.
Day 1, yeah.
How did that go? Gareth, why don't you start us off?
No, good. It didn't rain much on race day 1, did it? Comparatively.
Yeah, I think it was
Friday. Yeah, so good. Like got up, not raining, kind of because it was quite small as well. What was it, like 37 riders? I think it was 37 races all in ish.
no, like 50 something, right?
No, 50 something on the entry, but in terms of like people who actually managed to get there with COVID and everything, there was 3 girls. I think was it 34 guys or 36 guys. But anyway,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, high 30s. So it was quite a tight knit group because normally, if you get like 100 riders or something, as soon as everyone fast, you got away. But we went out in one big group, and we more or less did the climb in one big group. It strung out a little bit, but I think most people, we got to stage one, felt like in a really big group and like really good vibe on the climb and stuff like that. And stage one was pretty sick, especially after doing like day zero blind downhill trail with like super soft, like eat your front wheel if you lean on it kind of mud. Trail one was good. It was like a real fast, hard packed, flowy trail. It was a bit mossy, a bit greasy. So I think if you rode, it was one of those trails where if you got overconfident, you'd probably slide over the top of a burn. So I definitely went underconfident on it. But had a really fun, pumpy trail. Got to the bottom, was like, I should have gone faster, but didn't crash. So I'll take it.
Like 10 people fell in the first turn.
yeah. But yeah, no.
Oh yeah. When I was like one of the first starters, and Gareth came down after me, and Gareth just asked like, who fell in the first corner? Hands up. And like 4 out of 6 hands went up. That was nice. It was a good feeling. Like, okay, I'm not the only one who fell. Nice, thanks.
I agree with that kind of like really hard, greasy when wet. That's what my local trail, like a lot of my trails are like that. So I was like, I know this stuff. So that was a good trail. And I can't remember what the next liaison was like. I don't think it was too savage. I think we rode downhill to the coast.
It was pretty short.
Yeah,
pretty short.
So I caveat this with I only rode for 3 days, including day zero. We then rode my favorite trail, which is like you dropped in on the cliff where it's a lovely view of the coast.
All right.
And it was like a downhill trail that some local kids had made.
Oh, no.
And it was just through this like real like thick, like woody thicket, and it just snaked down the side of this cliff, and it was just really I say really tight, not that tight by kind of like maritime Alp standards, but tight for everywhere else in the world, switchbacks.
Okay.
And like really loose, soft, sandy dirt. So the first couple were a bit like, ugh. But as soon as you realize what the dirt was like, it was just sliding through these switchbacks and like pumpy, cool stuff. So yeah, that trail was wicked. Quite short, but really good fun, and a really great view at the start and a good view at the finish.
Did the options signs for the 2 lines mess with you at all going down?
They did and they didn't. So I remember seeing the signs, and there's like an arrow up and an arrow to the side. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And then I just went through. When you see the track, you see a line, and I was like, oh, I'm gone. I saw 2 of those. Yeah, I saw 2 of those signs, and I was like, what does that mean? And then it transpired that there were options that you could go 2 different ways, and some riders had been taking different ways, and some riders are faster or slower on the trail at the same time, taking different routes and crossing over and all manner of crazy shit. But yeah, I saw the signs and they confused me, but only because I didn't understand the sign. The trail, I was just like, yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, shit. We're good. Maybe not.
Hey, Dom, did you have some crazy stuff with crossing over trails?
Yeah, like with that crossing over, that happened to me. Brian started in front of me. I think he had a blue shirt on that day. And I was riding that trail, also saw the 2 options, but I was already fixed on a line. Apparently, I took the longer line because Benji, plate number 1, started behind me. He lost the pedal on the stage before, so he only had his axle sticking out. It was like Crank Brother mallets, so he had clip-ins and only his his axle to go on. And apparently, he took the faster line because somewhere right at the end of the stage, I saw something blue in front of me cut in, and I thought, like, did Brian fell? Or I'm not sure. And then it turned out he got 30 seconds on me because he finished like a second in front of me with one pedal. So that was good hit on my ego.
Was the pedal like stuck to his shoe or anything like that?
No.
No, he seemed to have lost it completely. So he was just trying to stand on the axle and trying to hold on. He said like right-hand corners were pretty well, of course, but left-handers were.
Yeah. So the pedal axle is still sticking up, but the whole pedal body and clip mechanism was just gone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, that never...
I
haven't seen that one before, too.
And then just slid it into the axle. Keep it in that way.
He tried that. He fell out on the first turn on stage 1.
Yeah, stick your
Yeah, I'm not surprised that was sketchy.
shit. Fuck.
Yeah, that second stage was really fun, but there's some tight switchbacks with some like lava gravel. That was a little bit over the bar. Came to a dead stop basically in one spot. Had to readjust, but other than that, it was pretty fun.
Was this the real life Watopia course? We're up and down the lava stuff.
No, but
you got in North America though. You guys don't really have switchbacks, do you? Because most North American riders I speak to that come over to Europe, are like, oh my god, these switchbacks are gnarly. And in Maritime Alps, they are pretty tight. But all the cool stuff you guys have, but you just don't have switchbacks.
we don't have a need for them anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think we did. The hills aren't tall enough. I don't know.
Well, even in the mountains, it's like a different style mountain. It's not like straight out of the ground like the Alps. Like even the Rockies are pretty manageable.
Yeah. Much older. Yeah.
I think a lot of the Alps trails also stem from a lot of old hiking trails originally too.
Yeah, they're all, a lot of the Alps stuff's old goat trails, old sheep and goat trails from like way back when.
And ours are purpose built, so they kind of avoid that situation. A lot of more like grade reversal, slow down and stuff.
The Frenchies love a tight switchback.
Yeah.
The Frenchies.
So the next transfer was a long one. And we got to go through this super cool village, like riding right downtown. We were actually all together at the time.
Okay.
And then it was a long ass climb.
And that was when we were all trying to keep up with Phil before we realized what an animal he was.
Yeah. And we get up and we see the tent, and we're like the first group of riders.
Okay.
And they're like, we had to cancel the next stage because it was too dangerous. Oh, so we're going to do this stage instead.
Oh.
So we wait a little bit and we get on this next stage. And it was one of the most terrifying things I've ever ridden.
Remember, when you guys do exams, like in Germany or in the States, right? Do you ever do an exam when you're at school or uni or something? You'll be like, oh my God, like this exam's so hard. I'm like totally failing. And then you come out of the exam hall and you talk to your buddies and they're all like, oh my God, that was so hard. And then suddenly you're like, I don't think I aced it, but I think I kind of did okay or as well as everybody else. Like when you were going down that trail, you were like, oh my God, I'm sucking so bad. And you got to the bottom and everyone else was like, oh my God, I suck so bad. And then suddenly like, actually, maybe I got like an average time. But going down it, you were like, fuck, I'm hemorrhaging minutes here. Like I spent more time tripoding over boulders than I did like on my pedals.
Yeah, for sure.
But then everyone made me feel good about that. Especially when we got to the bottom and like Sam and Craig were like, oh my God, I was tripoding everywhere. And I was like, So even the pros are tripoding.
It's terrible. Yes, Larry is joining us. Hi, Larry.
Hey, Fred. Sorry I'm so late. What's up, everybody?
Hey, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
With Gareth coming to us from the UK. And we have Dom.
Awesome.
from Germany.
Love it. Don't let me interrupt. Get back right in the groove. I don't want to throw it off.
So we were the first group of riders that went down that third stage that was so much safer than the one they had to close. So much safer that we basically walked down it.
Yeah. Rocks size between footballs and microwaves covered in wet moss and mud. Fun times.
In the dark, because it was like a jungle canopy of banana leaves. Like,
I was surprised no one ripped a rear mech or bent a rear boat rotor into a kind of shape that wouldn't ever be flat again on that stage. I think everyone did well not to do that.
I was quite happy that I didn't know to be anywhere, because I took some sketchy lines, like trying to avoid microwave-sized boulders and slipping somewhere and then riding right across it, and it still worked out somehow. With enough momentum, it seems to work.
I like the term microwave-sized boulders.
Yeah.
Is that a common thing, or are we just adapting that right now?
just now.
You gotta use household objects for your boulder sizer, and so people can get perspective.
I would have gone for amplifier because I have one right in front of me. So, but
well, bigger than the toaster, not quite as big as the Ninja coffee maker,
like air fryer set.
Ooh, yeah. Slightly more bulbous than the microwave would be.
Yeah, but Gareth is right. Like when we got to the bottom, we all felt terrible about ourselves. But then every rider that came down complaining about how they almost died made you feel a little bit better.
All right. Ooh, I do like that.
Like, okay. When the 50-1 guys come down and they're like, oh, that was terrifying and terrible. And you're like, okay, it's not just me. I'm not over my head.
It's very relatable. So,
and then
you changed my life at the bottom of that stage when you, Brian, when the 51 lads came down, Craig was like, "Oh, I need to do a dump. Do you think I can wipe my ass on these leaves?" I think those leaves will work. They're like dot leaves. You'll be fine. And you're like, "I always carry TP in my bag. It weighs nothing." And I now carry TP in my bag. And when I was marshalling later in the week, I had to have a wild one. And I was like, oh, great, I've got some TP in my bag because I took Brian's tip. So that was life-changing advice, mate.
What a hero.
Yeah, Ziploc bag with some TP in it in the bottom of your camelback.
Yeah, that's the upgrade, right? So it stays dry, actually.
Yeah. Can't be a Ziploc.
It doesn't get shampooed.
Brian, how many times have you had to use that it's that part of your pack?
Never since I've carried it.
That's why you carry it now?
Yeah, I had to use some leaves at State Game Area once, and then after that, I remember that Courtney had said that she carried toilet paper for the Margie, and I'm like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to do that from now on.
You couldn't. State Game's pretty short. You must have really had to go.
It wasn't a double.
Yeah.
Oh,
you still you could get back.
Listen to the podcast. Ziploc bag, TP, bottom of your bag. Don't forget it. Don't leave home with that.
And sign that Ziploc bag like the Brian Z bag. It's patented.
Yes, please think of me every time you take a shit. Put my face on it to get extra satisfaction.
We need some local roots printed TP now.
Hey, maybe that's Larry. Maybe that's for bread and
Get that in the merch store.
Yeah.
Maybe make like a small TP roll, just like emergency TP use.
So like a
use, like I don't know.
I'm all about it.
See if you can get Craig Evans 50-1 endorsement on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is a thing, though. In Europe, they use much less toilet paper than Americans. He's like, let me take one square. I'm like, what?
Oh no, dude! Like that, yeah. That's the UK Army way of doing it, which theoretically works, but you never want to be in that position. You fold it into quarters, and then you rip the inside bit into the hole, and then you stick your middle finger through the hole.
Oh.
You wipe your butt with your middle finger, and then you use the paper, and the little bit you ripped off, you get the shit from under your nail with that. But I'd always take a handful of pieces. If it's there, use it.
That's the most I've ever learned on this podcast.
What do you know? Huh. So transitioning back. So greasy, nasty. No.
Anybody want some local roots?
No, let's stay here.
Yes, this is great. We can make an orange and blue toilet paper. I don't know. I think we're onto something. This could be great.
It'll be unique.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know where to go from here.
Then we jump to stage 4.
We weren't there. We can't steer this conversation, can we?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Here we go. What happened next?
Well, they bonus staged us. So they gave us the XC trail that Dom neglected to ride on the warm-up ride.
Okay.
That half the field had ridden, half the field hadn't. And like I said, when we rode it, there's a flat bit at the start, like false flat, where everyone was probably just chatting to their mates. So it's like one of those bits where it's like, oh yeah, that's probably 30 seconds of trail because you were daydreaming. It was 2 to 2.5 minutes of sprinting trail.
With deep muddy puddles in between.
Fucking puddles.
Yeah.
I think the first puddle, I pussied out like a little bit. I was like, oh, I've got to restart, I don't want to get wet. And I think I got my skirt caught in my chain a little bit. And then I was like, oh, fuck this. My feet are wet. But I got my feet wet, and then I was just charging through all of them after that. But yeah, that was that was a bit of a lung and eye opener. And then it dropped into the bit at the end was quite fun, but it was really short, and there was a really big the story of all the trails I rode were big rain ruts because they'd had so much rain and the dirt was so soft. Just these huge, like not even axle deep in some instances. Some of them were like handlebar deep rain ruts.
You were saying,
but there was a cheeky little line to get around that I don't think Dom found.
Too late. I found it when my fork got stuck in the rut and almost out to beat, so had to lift my bike, like not just lift, but I had to pull out my bike out of the rut by force and then remount and go on. Yeah, lost precious seconds on that one.
Yeah, precious seconds.
Again, we were first down that again with Phil, and then because I know Sam and Craig came down behind us, and a bit like the other trail where you're like, fucking hell, that was like terrible. They came down and were saying the exact same things we were saying, so I was like, oh, that's not too bad. I think the quote of my week was from Craig. Craig finished and was like, fucking hell, I'd rather wank off my dad than do that again. That translates very well. It's like, I'd rather jerk off my dad than ride that trail again. I was like, true that.
Jeez.
We're allowed to swear on this podcast, right?
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
Sorry.
Brian, do you remember when we first started? We're like, yeah, we should keep it like really nice. And yeah. And then like one episode later, we're like, yeah, fuck that.
Also, if you look at photos from Craig, it's incredible what faces he makes while riding down trails. Like he looks terrified and surprised all the time. Have you seen these? Great.
Yeah. I haven't gone through all the photos yet. I've just having time. I went to work from the airport when I got back.
No, wow.
Saw a band play, fell asleep while I was watching them, and then went to work at 4:30 a.m. the next day, and then went to the baseball game till late at night again.
Yeah, you asked me about the baseball game on Friday, and I was like, Bradley, did you not sleep, or what happened?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You
not
guys know that like Phil flew back.
What's that?
Phil flew back the same day as me, and then drove to Exmoor, where it's not volcanic, but it's the same like 20% steep hills up and down, and did another 3-day race.
Oh,
Nice.
That dude's an animal.
he's an animal.
I need to get on Roots and Rain actually to see how he did, because I bet you he did pretty well there as too. Well, there too.
So the next day, I feel like is where the adventure really begins.
We haven't even got to the adventure.
Because you've said like 8 Icemans in a row already, and this is like what Larry and I know. And I was like, you're like, oh, now we're getting to the actual good stuff.
Well, so we got this little course guide right here, and
Here's all you got for the race.
let me.
Michigan races, they give you like a suitcase full of like shit, and they're like, here's $1 swag.
So first of all, the truck driver.
Yeah, we get stickers.
Stickers, Bud Club, beer, a bunch of shit. Yeah.
So the truck driver and the bus, like.
Oh, we missed out the wheelie competition where I actually won the amateur class, so we shouldn't neglect the day one wheelie competition.
Drag race wheelie.
I don't think Ludo should have been allowed to even compete with the amateurs. I think he should have been in a pro class, but there we go.
In all fairness, we were dominating the 40 and over riding bikes way too long but scared to go too fast class.
Yeah, we were dominating.
Yeah, was there an age in like a eight class at all?
No.
Open. Where men and women open.
Because the timing equipment didn't show up.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah, the timing's a podcast all on its own.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 40.
You're 40.
We're a few months apart.
Yeah. My wife still cannot believe Brian is anywhere near 40. So, Dom, how old are you?
34.
Okay. You're younger. Yeah, more spry.
Yeah. Don't look younger, but I am.
So yeah, the truck doesn't show up in the morning to pick our bikes up.
Okay.
So we wait around for kind of a long time. We get on a tour bus, which drives us like halfway across the island to the highest point in the middle of the island.
Okay.
Which
We'll
is
go down from there. That's good.
Which is awesome. The views were amazing up there.
Yeah.
But it was another hour before the bike showed up. We're all like in our riding gear, walking around like touristy stuff, like trying to warm up. It was a shit show. And let me read the description of day 2. It's called Lake of Fire. Stages to prove yourself. The day will start on the top of Mount Barossa after the bus drop off, and you wait an hour for your bike. It doesn't say that. Stage 1 is a trail that starts with open views and narrow single track with some choose your line correctly, and then enters a Japanese cedar with climbs and flowy descents. 2 is an easy downhill track with smooth jumps and berms. 3 is a true all-mountain adventure famous among tourists as the Indiana Jones Trail. Takes you through rough technical sections, farmer fields, skinny bridges, and cliffs.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, we'll get to each one of these.
They missed out the bit with the cow field.
Yeah.
And the huge cow footprint holes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The other ones are pretty short, and we ended up missing them anyways. But one where it says, choose your line correctly was an understatement.
Yeah, but the narrow single track was also wide as fuck. Choose your line.
Yeah.
Choose your line wisely.
All right. I remember that I started first from everyone on that stage, and I just charged down that wide trail.
Okay.
Yeah, not real. And then the first corner came up, and right before that first corner, I could see there was some drop off and a couple of lines to choose from, but I couldn't see what's beneath there. So there was not much. It wasn't much about to choose, but just be lucky which line you're choosing. Going like somewhere in the middle, trying to maybe find a drop. And I wasn't going so fast because I didn't want to crash, and I stopped just in time before deep fucking hole, and pulled my front wheel out of it, went around it, and felt really embarrassed. Like I wasn't even into the trail for 30 seconds. I've already put my feet down and walked around a feature and felt really bad. Kept on racing.
We were around the corner.
Yeah. I'm jealous of how you went around that.
I later learned that that exact feature, which I just barely avoided, took down like probably a third of the field.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that feature, it pretty much took me out of the race. It was gnarly.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Dom drop in. I think Dom dropped in.
I went second.
Brian dropped in. Phil dropped in. And because it disappeared, it's like it was the trail. You went down and it cut back, and then there was some dead ground. So you saw people go down, and then you saw them come out the other way. So Dom was in the dead ground for quite a while, like relatively, not like a long time, but longer than you think. So I was like, oh, there's something in there. And when charging in, thinking, oh, pick my line, and it got really wide, and I saw some tire track. I don't know if they were tire track recent or not, but like up on the right. So I thought, oh, get on that high line on the right and try and just skim through on riders right the trail. And that line stopped existing, and there was the world's biggest, gnarliest rain rut that just I was like, right, I'm going into this rut now. Like, here we go. Just hold on tight. And my front wheel went into it, and like this probably didn't happen, but it felt like my handlebars hit the side of the rut before my wheel hit the bottom. That's probably an exaggeration, but it was the biggest rain rut I've ever posted my bike into. Big over the bars, and hit this big like lumpy bit of ground. But hands out, my hands went over the lump, and the lump just like body checked me, split my camelback hose, and knocked all the wind out of me. And I was like, oh my God. And I thought, fuck it. Limbs are still working. Hopped on the bike, got going. Within 30 seconds again, kind of breathe again, and got my head up. Got overtaken by a fast Frenchie. In that being on the floor, rolling around, not being able to breathe, riding my bike phase. But then it was like, ooh, fast Frenchie, hold his wheel. So kept him in sight. And then suddenly there's like a gang of people stood in the middle of the trail. So like Dom, Brian, and Phil, standing by what looked like a gate. And the French guy just charged fucking through it. And I charged through it. And I heard the guy saying something about a gate. I was like, oh, fuck this, I'm following the French guy. And then the trail got really weird, like very boggy, uphill, worrying. Like, they stopped at the finish, and me and this French guy now literally, cyclocross running our bikes through slop for fun that we aren't being timed on. But then I think people started catching us up, and we kept going, and it was really weird, and it got mega soft and steep. And that's when I had my little dirt nap on that steep bit. So it was a really steep bit trail, and I was like, oh, there's a catch burn about halfway down. I'll just put my front wheel in there and I'll scrub some speed and I'll be away. And the soft catch burn just like ate my front wheel. So I was like on the deck. And then I just hear this scream behind me because Brian sort of committed to come in behind me, and it's like, oh my God. And I didn't see him, but I've never got up off the floor and jumped back on my bike on a sketchy steep bit trail so fast. I just rode down the trail going, sorry. And I really am sorry, Megan. I think that's where you hurt your hand, because I was like in the middle of the trail. Yeah.
Oh, no.
But I think like every second rider, I think binned it on that bit, and it was just like it was like a slip and slide cyclocross run fest, and then the trail finished, and then we had to walk down these switchbacks, which were this. I think those walking down the switchbacks was one of the sketchiest things in the race. They were not. It was like walking down a cliff. on
We're
like,
walking down the cliff, and I think it wasn't even handlebar wide, right? So you'd have to like navigate your handlebars
and
somehow.
you had to swap your bike onto the other side. Every other switchback, you had to swap your bike onto the other side. And apparently that was going to be in a race if it hadn't rained. It is gnarly. But yeah, that was a fun stage. I made 3 minutes on Dom, 2 minutes on Brian, and 1 minute on Phil because of that gate.
Stupid fence. Trying to figure out where to go. What he kind of minimized was the top like kilometer of this course was all holes that were handlebar deep. Okay. And it went side to side, and you couldn't tell where they were until you were good there.
Like I think I was too focused on trying to breathe again through that bit. I kind of blacked that bit of trail out.
You follow it that way too. I could see Dom, and I was coming after him, but I kept like almost dying in handlebar deep holes.
Yeah, like,
I was just trying to stay alive.
They'd had 2 weeks of the hardest rain I think they've ever had, like on record, at that time of year. And the dirt, it's really like kind of sand. It's quite nice dirt. I bet it's nice to work on, but you pour water down it and it just erodes.
Yikes. Well, so yeah, that's. You got anything to add on that stage, Tom? Or besides,
yeah, it was I think where Gareth and you both fell, I fell too. I remember it was like 2 really big rock slabs slanted off camber, completely wet, so no grip at all. Just sliding down there. I fell too, right behind Brian. I saw the fast Belgian guy, Benji, coming up again. The guy that got me on one pedal on the first day. So I thought, yeah, well, let's get him. Let him pass first. Got my bike on the side, and he just fell the same. So everybody down in that pit. And yeah, we just kept going as a group. Felt more like a group ride at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like 5-6 riders.
I have a quick question. That section that you had to walk, was there any stuff like that where there was like people trying like way too hard and actually like did those sections and like you had to be like, oh no, and then like ate shit or anything? Or was everyone pretty much team mentality of like, hey, let's not do this?
You mean the part after the?
They asked us not to ride it.
It was just not even a choice. Got it.
Well, they asked us not to ride it because it was dangerous. And I think Ludo and a couple of French guys were like, oh, can we ride it if we want at the rider briefing? And Carlos was like, best not to, but, do your own thing. I didn't see anyone even attempt it, and no one talked about doing it.
I don't think it was possible. Like, you couldn't fit your handlebars. Through that section, so it was like a 40 centimeter, like 1 foot patch of trail right next to a vertical earth cliff, so you would bury your handlebars into the side trying to ride that if possible.
I don't even think you could nose manual some of them.
No. The handlebars just don't fit. Yeah.
Gnarly. But
it was hard to walk
down. The rain is just
like,
taking off the trail, like, but away.
Yeah. I think even without a bike, it would have been hard to walk down. Like, it was really, really narrow and slippery.
Yeah. So then we get to the bottom of that, and we have to start riding up the giant mountain that the bus took us up.
Past the ice cream shop.
What's that?
Past the ice cream shop.
Yeah. Did you get ice cream? Not this lap.
Not the first time.
So it did happen, though. So
yeah, it did. We were like, oh, it's an ice cream shop, but we didn't stop. And I kind of regretted not stopping the first time round. we climbed up.
Better the second time.
Yeah, and like, because it was like warm rain, so is it like a 600-meter climb?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but with the humidity and like the heat, oh my god, it felt like more. I remember we went around the corner and Andre was there, doing timing, And I was like, oh my fucking God, I'm so glad, like, we are here. Like, it just went on and on. So then we did stage 2, but only 4 of us or 5 of us.
No, everyone did except for 2 people.
Really?
Yeah.
That's just Leon and Moto. They just came right in between where there was no one there.
Gotcha. I actually got the timer back. So that was a good stage.
Yeah, that was one of the best stages, I think.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Hard pack, man-made downhill trail again with a crazy jungle canopy tunnel of total darkness at max speed.
You went into
we had that one patch of trail where it was completely dark for
black.
I don't know, 10 meters, black, like pitch black dark.
Longer than that. And it's long enough for me to put my tire on my butt.
Who dropped in first? Did Phil drop in first?
Yeah, Phil and me.
Yeah, because I remember thinking if there was anything in there, Phil or Brian or whoever went before me would have hit it. And I can't see any bodies, and like there doesn't seem to be anything. Yeah, so I'm just gonna send it.
You wouldn't have seen us in there. It was so dark.
It's a big pile of bodies.
But yeah, so that stage was fun. Nothing too crazy. There's some jumps on it that they warned us about that were probably some of the easiest things we would have done. Okay.
Yeah, they roped off the 2 big ones, didn't they?
Yeah, but they looked easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to some of the stuff they made us ride, yeah, it didn't seem that gnarly.
True.
Then spit us out at the bottom of the mountain. Okay. And now we have to ride to the very top of the mountain, which was like...
Again.
Well, not again. We had to go way past where Gareth said he was super happy to see the timing guy.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
we did
no.
about the same again.
That was like 2/3 of the way up. We had to go way up past there. But we stopped at the ice cream shop.
Yeah, I got an ice cream and we had a round of full fat Cokes and that. Charged on.
Those cooks were magic. Like after that Coke, we just flew up the mountains. It really felt good for half an hour maybe, and then we crashed again.
That was a solid.
I could have done with two or three more of those Cokes on that climb.
Gave you the boost you needed.
And then the next stage was Indiana Jones, which was 5 kilometers.
Almost 6.
5.9, wasn't it?
With 125 meters of climbing,
I
which
do
is
miles. And put it in miles for me.
I can't do that.
Americanize it for us, Brian.
It's,
4 miles?
Like 6.
Yeah.
6 miles is 10K. 4.5 miles.
4.5. All right. So kilometer. Yeah.
Yeah, and like 400 feet climbing.
Meter. 3.
There's a lot of climbing in a little bit of area.
100
Yeah, it was
meters.
full on climb.
Like 700 feet. No, 125 is 375 feet of climbing in the middle of it. Oh, the drop was 700 meters, so you're talking 2,100 feet down.
Yeah.
But there was like places they made us get off our bikes and walk because bikes didn't fit.
Yeah, you did the majority of that climbing at the start of the stage, so you kind of got your heart in your mouth in the first 2 minutes, and then you rode for like 4 miles, trying to go as fast as you could.
Let me see. Go.
Oh, nice.
That was the ice cream shop.
And then right back up. Yep.
Shop was like right there. It sounds like. This is the big one that we're talking. 885 meters up. So,
Just
Wow.
climbing.
It's just, yeah.
It's the same scale on each map.
distance is different.
No. They're all the same shape with different legends.
We can see where it's going to get steep.
Yeah, I guess you can see that, but like.
So yeah, the Indiana Jones stage is super long. We get through it, whatever. Then we have this like long ass liaison to get out, and there's like bamboo stairs. So like,
That's when I knew I was done. When you had to walk down the stairs, and then hike a bike up the other side, and getting my bike on my back was like hard, and lifting it off. Oh my goodness! I had to have a moment. I was with Phil. I felt like this mega fit guy, just charging all the time. I was like, Phil, we just need to stop. I just need a minute. Just a moment with myself. And he hung around for a minute. I had a little cry on the inside.
You need to go through like 25 cow gates too, so you're constantly lifting your bike over.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Oh man.
And the cow gates were like with increasing difficulty. Like the first ones had a couple of space to lift your bike over.
Hurdles.
Oh yeah, one of them is like a fucking Rubik's puzzle.
Yeah. Each one had like an additional
fold your bike into it, and then unfold your bike at either end. Like an aptitude test.
There's people still trying to get through it. They haven't finished yet.
Then Dom's like, I think these fences are electric. And I look at them, and they look nothing like American electric fences. So I'm like, I'll take one for the team and touch it. And I grab it, and I'm like, it's not on. And all of a sudden, it pulsed right into my bad hand.
No.
It felt like I got punched in the hand. It's so bad. So we had to like limbo with our bikes over and under these stupid electric fences, and like we're just looking for these like
What? Strings of
This is just part of it?
yeah, it's the liaison.
It sounds like a jackass made a bike race.
We're looking for the. I'm gonna permanently.
It was yeah, like I don't know, my mojo was down, but I think there were quite a few people with like what the fuck faces on that day, because the trails were trash because of the weather. And you were riding through all these cow fields, and like like wet cow, because they're like quite undulating, and wet cow fields with like cows just sinking to their knees. So all these cow footprints, cow shit everywhere, and electric fences and cow gates. Yeah, fun times.
Race. You do Iceman.
Yeah,
The
second there's an electric fence on Iceman.
Right.
you were
Or any race.
or any.
But at some point, I think I was going with Brian and the tall German guy too. And at some point, Brian already remarked, was it you or me? I don't know. Like, this was supposed to be like a short liaison, right? So we were already getting that hunch that we're probably missing something, but we weren't thinking about missing something. We just thought it took longer because we had to hike so much and lift over those gates.
Well, me and Phil were. We were at the front of the race at that point.
Yeah, we were right.
We were riding. Didn't have my helmet on. I had my helmet on pack. We're riding this like chunky, horrible liaison, and suddenly like the trail starts getting like quite fun and fast and cool. And I was like, I put my lid on. I'm like kind of suffering down this trail on my ribs, and Phil was like flying along, and suddenly like the media guys like set up to take photographs, and like, oh, are we on the stage? Like, yeah, this is the bottom of the final stage. Because there's no marshals at the top doing any timing.
No shit. Dom and I are riding along with our helmets on our backs, and we start bombing down this like 2-track with like cliffs on the side. We're hauling ass, and I'm like, I turn back and look at him. I go, God forbid they make this a stage. It's actually fun, and we're not going to die. Turns out, with our helmets off the whole time. Helmets off.
Yeah, and then
very 90s that trail.
we kept riding down. Then we were back on the road, and then a minute later, Carlos actually came there in a car up the mountain, and I don't know how the conversation went. It was quite short. We were like, we're looking at him, asking like, "Is this to the what was it? The third stage or fourth stage?"
It would have been the fourth.
Would have been the fourth. And he was like, "No, you just came down the fourth." No, there was no one there. and he just shook his head and
Drove away.
was really pissed.
He had his happy face on, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually just kept on driving then, right? He sped off, and me and Brian were there like, yeah, what are we going to do now? Like, he didn't even tell us what to do. So.
We sat down on the road.
Did he drive off around a corner and then all you heard was this massive like, fuck?
I felt that, yeah.
Then he came back down. He's like, just go to camp. Just go right to camp.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what went wrong with the timing on that stage, but apparently.
We were too spread out, is what he said. They were on volunteers for the race. They needed more race marshals.
Well, it was a double whammy. He had volunteers drop out at the death, and he'd ordered sports idents, the little wrist bracelets where you put the mat down, you ride over the mat. So the volunteers would just go out, put a mat down, ride the stage, check signage, check it's safe, put a mat down, and then just ride ahead of the race. And then someone rides behind the race and picks all the shit up. Because they didn't have sports ident, he was trying to put a marshal at the start and a marshal at the end of every stage to do start time in, start time out, and then we'll work the times out back at camp. But he didn't have enough marshals if the race got too spread out across the stages, and the race got too spread out across the stages. Did it happen again later in the week?
Well, I think that was like a long day.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
later the long liaisons kind of kept people closer together a little bit. So that was the day with the big climbs, and the group of the 6 of us with Craig and Sam, and then the 4 of us that rode together, were so far ahead of everybody that we just pushed through the race marshals. Because that's when we got in trouble for going too far ahead.
First time I got in trouble for being too fast on a bike.
That happened to me, so. Yeah. I did get yelled at for doing a wheelie at Iceman once, so that was cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of a badass.
After finishing the 95th percentile of last, so.
So that night, I think, was the first night we had beer, I believe.
Oh, we ended up in the stadium, right?
We got lunch at 5 o'clock when we got into camp, and then we got dinner at 6:30.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And I had a massage with the physio to see if she could bring my ribs back to life, and that's when she concluded that they were fucked. She put me on my back and massaged my diaphragm. She thought it was my diaphragm, and that felt all right. And then she rolled me onto the side and started massaging my ribs, and I was like, we're done. Stop. And she's like, yeah, you've done your ribs. So
Did you break them?
Probably not race. Huh?
Did you break them?
No, so I haven't broken them. I have torn all the intercostal muscles between them and bruised the rib bones, apparently. So I had an x-ray. I poo-pooed the physio at the race. She was really good, actually, because she was like, oh, you've done your ribs. And I was like, they're either bruised or cracked because they're not floating around. And there's nothing we can do, there's ribs, you just suck it up, right? And she's like, oh, you might have collapsed a lung. And I was like, no way. My foolish assumption was collapsing a lung was like popping a balloon.
That's what I would have
And then later in the week, someone told me a collapsed lung is when you hit your chest and you push some air out of your lung into your chest cavity. And then you get a little pocket between the inside of your ribs and your lung that stops your lung from expanding. And depending on how big that pocket is how much the lung is collapsed. And I was like, I shouldn't get on an airplane if I have one of those pockets. And she's like, no, you shouldn't. And I was like, I now understand why you want me to get to hospital. So I think the last day of the race, I spent the day at the hospital waiting for an X-ray. But I got my X-ray, no visible cracks and no air pockets, and I didn't have coronavirus either, so I could go home. But yeah, that's in the future. We need to rewind back to the end of day 2.
All right.
But yeah, that's when my race finished, because anything where my front wheel hit anything, went into a hole, anything where I was having to carry weight through my arms when I was riding, I could ride up roads, but riding down was like not fun. Lifting my bike was super not fun, and getting in and out of my tent also not fun. But if I drank enough beer, it got all right.
That was the first football field camp, right?
Yeah.
We had warm showers, so silver lining.
Yeah.
And a hot bike wash.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Before it flooded because of all the rain. That's not bad. What else happened? Oh, lunch was ready for us, and then dinner was ready like 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
By the beer tent.
Yeah, we had beer. We got to watch local football team showed up.
All right.
And I think some of the British lads were like, oh, we should ask them if they want a game. And then because they all looked a bit like, not athletic. They were carrying a bit of timber. And then they went through their warm-up drill, and we were like, oh, actually.
They're pretty good.
They look pretty good at, soccer, as you guys call it. Yeah, they looked half tidy. So we didn't challenge them to a game.
All right, so how many more days we got?
4.
4.
Wait, 3. Was that day 2? No.
That was day 2. You had 4 more.
Yeah, I mean, kind of thinking interest of time, speed her up kind of time here.
Yeah.
Let's just some more highlights and maybe some more particular lowlights of what the rest of the race had for you guys.
It starts to get blurry from there for me anyway. So, I think from day 3 on, we had even more rain. It rained overnight anyway. And the next day was full of climbing, lots of mud. I think I was wet by noon already.
Oh, gosh.
And I stayed wet until the end of the race by day 6, basically.
Yeah.
I alternated from having massive FOMO, because I hung out with the marshals then, so I was like kind of helping out with race timing and course marking and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this trail looks sick, FOMO. And like, oh, this liaison fucking looks horrible, and oh my god, it's raining, and like, oh, that stage is blown out. So I was like, oh, I'm pretty glad I'm not racing, to like, oh, I really want to be riding my bike. And it was like a complete yo-yo of emotions for the next 3 days before I went and spent a day in a hospital.
No.
Some of those trails look sick though. They look really like kind of like almost a cross between like riding trails back home here and stuff that you find in BC, like kind of loamy forest stuff.
All slick. Very slick.
Yeah, it looks slick as fuck.
The day 3 was fun. We started up in the forest, Jurassic Park and stuff, and it was really cool. I think that was day 3.
Yeah, that was day 3.
I think day 3 was with one of those ancient trails where they had like basically littered with microwave sized rocks.
Yeah, I loved how they all, in the book, in the rider briefings, they call them cobblestones, and I was like,
I did see it.
Fucking huge, great big rocks. Like a cobblestone street, you can drive a car down a cobblestone street.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, like Paris-Roubaix, cobblestones. Like, oh no, like fucking full on 4-wheel drive trophy truck, fucking cobblestones.
So like, and we all knew that like day 4 was the day that was going to be the long day. We're going to ride across the whole island.
Okay.
And the first couple were good stages, and then we had to pedal in the rain, in cold, 25 kilometers. So like 15 and a half miles over a mountain to the other side. And then just when you think you get to the other side,
Sweet.
it goes straight up.
Why does it go straight back up?
Yeah, it sucked.
What the shit?
So that was awful. Dom, by this point, hated life. The rain clouds were following us.
Yeah.
Oh.
But wasn't day 4 like Brian crashing all day?
Mm-hmm.
Was that was day 4, right?
That was stage 4 and 5.
Yeah. So Brian fell off cliffs that day, all day long, basically.
Is that the day we finished down by the bridge with the bar where everyone's drinking beers by the big ducks?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like there's a lot of broken spirit looking faces drinking beer on that bridge.
Yeah, that was the one that was on Pink Bike today. You had to search it, but I posted it on my Facebook.
Yeah.
It's me.
I think that was my big day. Like I felt really good running down those slippery rocks, and that was the one day where there was one stage where I passed you, Brian. I think it was that day, right?
That was the day of both, because we went together in the morning and we got to the up and down pedally stuff, and you didn't like pedaling as much as me. And then you passed me on the one, and then I fell off the cliff just after you passed and tried to break my leg. That was that one.
Oh yeah, I thought I heard you swearing behind me, so I was already charging down the rocks.
Yeah, just try not to die. And that's the one I ghost rode my bike down that super steep thing after the road, where I was just like, fuck this, I quit. I hated life by then. I was in a bad mood by that. That was after the super long liaison that we walked up the 20% grade on the other side of that gravel road. And the trail was pretty fun at the top, and then right in the middle just had that drop off that was borderline not safe to ride down. And I just I slipped and let go of my handlebars because my ankle and my hand hurt, and I just let the bike go.
Let the bike go? How far did the bike go?
40 feet, probably. It was bad. But then, yeah, we had the really good time at the bar. I feel like that was the day that all the riders bonded. After that day of kind of going through battle, and everybody was rainy and wet and shitty, and we the trail literally popped out at a bridge, and there was a bar on the corner that had your €1 beers.
Oh yeah, 80 cents for a small one. Yeah.
I'm American. I don't know what a small beer is.
You now know. Even for the Germans, this is very small beer.
Yeah, it's dirt cheap though.
Yeah. Saying our 12-ounce beer.
I get that was the thing with me. Every time I bought anything from a shop, it was I'll have 3 Cokes, an ice cream, a bag of chips, and 2 Snickers, and €4.50. I ordered all this. I'll have 8 beers, and they're €6 something, and you're I just ordered 8 beers.
You sure?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So the bonus at the camp is the masseuse was very attractive. So a lot of people were getting massages.
that was the camp with the crazy birds that were flying around and making noises in the middle of the night.
In the public.
Oh, and the dogs. Day 0 and 1, we had dogs. And God knows what. And then we had weird birds. Every night was a different jungle sound.
Just tour the world.
Yeah.
You're in the game of Jumanji.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot like that. It's like you said, like someone's just gonna get carried away in the middle of the night, like a big hole ripped in the back of their tent.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
day 5, I was dreading getting up, but it felt good. That was a dormant volcano day.
All right.
That ended up, from that point on, I actually felt like I got a lot better at riding and started passing people all the time. So I figured out that I could steer. Oh, you know what we forgot to talk about is our old man track stand, eye contact, beer drink competition.
The trash talking competition.
Yeah, which was unfortunate that we signed up at the times we signed up. Because 40-year-olds that have been riding bikes a long time are really good at track stands.
Okay.
So we got paired together in round 1.
Oh no, that's not fair.
Yeah.
And it was getting so long that we were like handing us beers and like taking drinks of beers.
Who won?
He did.
High fiving.
And some really good shit talking going on right between them. So that was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was basically a trash talking competition.
Yeah.
With some track standing. So,
I fell off the sidewalk.
that was a fun one. Yeah, but like, I feel like you should have gone much deeper in that, and we did get stitched up by signing up at the same time.
Yeah. Well, that's you.
And again, Ludo should have been in his own pro class.
No, I think we both beat him if we're not fucking around trying to drink beer and injured. I think in the stupid bike trick contest, I think we actually could win those.
Did you ever do the bunny hop contest?
No.
They didn't have.
No, they didn't do the bunny hop competition. They didn't do limbo either. They did the beer one.
Yeah, we missed out on a couple because things
I was joking with my buddies back home. I was going to ditch the race and focus on that after I came second in the wheelie competition. And then I did my ribs and like it actually started to look like that. I was like, oh, can I suck up the pain long enough to do okay in this like car park comp?
I wanted the bunny hop one even though I couldn't hold my bars. I was going to tape my hand to it and call it good.
Yeah, I was dreading that one. I was like, limbo, yeah. Track stand, yeah. Bunny hop, not so keen on that.
Yeah, the rest of it, I mean, day 5, Dom also had a rain cloud following you again.
Dom was just wet.
I was his cheerleader that day, all day.
Dom, you can do it.
Yes.
You got another killer liaison on day 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After you guys use that giant hose pipe that look like elephant's trunk to clean your bikes.
Well, we were on the
liaison.
same 5 times, that same section. On the football field. And then the last one was the river crossings and then up the super steep thing.
Yeah. In the open.
I put on music and just decided to like take off on that one.
Now, that was even before. Like I think Brian was full of my whining, and then put on some good music, and it really pumped in, and he just went off and was never seen again. So
was that the day with the like really? It looked really cool, like a jungle trail at the top. It was raining like so hard.
Yeah.
It was a trail that like had been cut into the jungle. And I walked maybe the first 100 yards. I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. And there's that big tree. And then apparently, if I'd have walked any further, I'd have realized it wasn't very cool and flat and hilly and crap.
It was axle deep mud for, let's see, how long was that stage? 2.7 kilometers of the deepest, nastiest mud possible and Flintstoning the bike.
I like the Flintstone term. I think we did.
yeah, we did that a lot generally. So that term stuck with me as well. Yeah.
Flintstone. Is that what tripoding is?
Tripod's only one leg out.
The one leg, okay. Flintstone, you double and just
That's 2 feet running.
also trying to stop.
Yeah. People were pissed about that stage.
Oh, what was the big, was he German or Austrian, the tall guy?
German.
Dude.
The guy was always angry. He was super angry after that one.
He was super angry.
Yeah.
I think it was Luca or Stefan on that one, right? Who was really pissed.
Stefan was really fast.
Yeah. I passed him. Like, that guy was way faster than me, but he was so pissed he couldn't go on, and I passed him.
Just made him more pissed.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
then we had the same camp for a couple nights, some lava springs. I learned that Czech guys get naked anywhere. Everywhere we went with the Czech guys, they just took their clothes off.
For that detail.
The nasty campsite lady
Oh, yeah.
that told us that she was going to call the police and wouldn't let us get breakfast unless we had an orderly line. That was fun.
The restaurant lady that made us all wait and then told us we had to wait more.
No soup for you.
Yeah.
Sucked.
Is Seinfeld an international show?
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
I just realized I made this as my second Seinfeld joke, and I was like, "This guys probably think I'm fucking idiot."
Yeah, I think that's all the race stuff. That's
Yeah, like hot springs. God,
I think day
nice
5, wasn't day 5 also where we ended at those nice pools at the sea where we all went swimming?
that was
That all felt like a beach party vibe at the end. That was nice.
yeah. The last 2 days we ended up in ended at the beach, and it was
Yeah, last day as well, right? Yeah.
And
But
what would be
day 5 was nicer at the pools because everyone was really eager to get into the water, and what
Is that
of jumping going on.
the pineapple gin cocktail day?
yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That was good.
That's a good day.
Yeah, I think day 4 or day 3 or 4 was the pool, the public pool. We rode the switchbacks down.
Yeah.
And I think that was day 3 because then I wore the tank top the next day because I'm like, it's going to be hot, and then it was cold and rainy the whole day. And I borrowed your shit.
You borrowed sunscreen from me.
Then he borrowed a long sleeve shirt from me. So
The one time I put sunscreen on, it's 60 degrees and freezing and rainy all day.
Did anyone ask if he was Ed Sheeran?
No.
No.
All right. What up?
No.
who's that here?
Not Prince Philip. He's an old, creepy guy. I think he died, too.
Yeah, I know.
I think you were thinking Harry.
I was thinking Prince Harry, but Prince Philip kind of that would kind of made the joke funny.
I was trying to genocide people. Yeah, other than that, just party time. We finished a lot of kegs of beer.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't really drink dry, and you had to go and get some more.
Yeah, that was day 5.
Yeah.
We killed all the kegs.
Yeah. And we had nice gala dinner. Some fast people got given some swords. We had COVID tests.
Yeah. Was the
All
flight?
came back negative.
Was it
100 euro for the privilege of having a very polite doctor ram a stick up your nose and into the back of your throat. That was
She was so
fun.
cute and pleasant until she raped my nose.
Yeah. So it was banging your head on the wall with it.
And mouth. I told her this giant sob story of how I was injured from a COVID test. So I think she was nicer to me than the other.
You were not injured from a COVID.
I was.
No, you weren't.
We get to do it ourselves over here. So I was like, can I do it? And she's like, no. But we do it ourselves in the UK. She's like, not here.
Oh, I think there's one thing I have to report from the last race day that I completely forgot. Basically, the day started with everyone being able to start whenever they wanted to. And Gareth, Brian, Phil, and some other guys went for the corona test. And I was one of the last guys to start. And it was just 3 stages on that day. And they went with the car for an hour, did the tests, went back and all that. And when I was riding back from stage 1 to stage 2,
like on the same road, they actually drove past me in the car and saw me. And by Liaison 2, on my way back, on my way to stage 3, like right before reading stage 3, Phil passes me on the way up. He was with them with the corona test, and I heard tire rub behind me, like really fast on the steep road up, and I thought like, oh, that's an e-bike coming. And then Phil just rode past, me like, good morning. And I was like, what the fuck?
2.5 hours later.
What?
Like, he was starting way last and finished as one of the first ones, actually, somewhere. It was weird. Like, he did all days racing in, like, what, 2 hours?
Yeah.
Crazy.
He joined us on one of the daily updates with Dominik.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looked fast.
Yeah, really calm guy. So really calm, but he just blows everyone away on the uphill. So
Yeah. Well, good for Phil.
He's riding away from like Sam and Ludo and like the US guys. He was just riding away from them.
Man.
Animal. Like on the first day, we all tried to keep up with him. That was a mistake.
yeah, probably. Probably fuck yourself that way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyways,
I remember that on the first 3 days, we were pushing uphill. My heart rate was somewhere in the 160 range. And by day 4, 5, 6, I was like already, when my heart rate was up to 130, I was already like, yeah, let's back it up a little.
130?
Yeah, 130, 140, and that was max on the last 3 days.
Oh, dude, on that first day chasing Phil, I was like banging. I was in the 175s, 180s. I was just chatting away, like, hey, just breathe in, just breathe.
Watching on day 5.
Yeah, I race at like 190, like 200.
I do when I downhill race, but not like liaisons that don't mean anything.
Yeah, not liaisons, not 20K liaisons.
Remember that these are non-time stages that we're supposed to be conserving energy. You got to keep that heart rate down.
I thought
No medals for the liaison.
you guys are like seriously in shape.
And, you know, I've had a really good day today, seeing some of my bike buddies I haven't seen in a really long time. Like, we haven't seen each other for 2 months or 3 months even.
Okay.
And I'm coming back from this race and I feel like shit. Like, I feel like I've eaten too much during the race. And like, food was not a problem. It wasn't scarce, so we had enough to eat. And we had lots of beer too. So I didn't particularly feel like being fitter than before, maybe even worse. Was being wet all day and, you know, all that crashing. And like everyone I met today was like individual telling me, man, you look really fit. What happened to you? It's like, oh, okay.
You guys must have ridden in some serious fitness. It's like with day 0, it's like 7 days of like hard riding. You guys must be absolutely peaking now.
I rode with these guys yesterday, and I rode my XC bike for the first time instead of my enduro bike that I've been riding. And the first thing at the ski hill was up this big hill, and I just like kind of motored up with the dog, and I got to the top, and I can't even see or hear them. And I'm like, oh, I was back there. Apparently, I'm in better. My legs recovered.
Mark, I couldn't have.
But
Yeah, it's nice feeling that that it does work out, right, in the end.
I got back on the watt bike yesterday, so I'm hoping I meant to do a 100K road ride on Sunday with a couple of mates. Oh, it's a charity ride, so I'm hoping that might be all right. If I don't go too crazy with my heart rate.
If not,
We'll see.
good to go.
Yeah, you don't hit the floor on a road bike very often. So if I don't crash,
When you do it, seriously catastrophic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you do, it's a yard sale when you do.
Fucking sucks ass. Do you have any closing thoughts for the race? Well, I have a question. We'll end this on this.
We have to do our beer review still too.
We'll do that, and first of all, let's go around the horn. Would you do it again? Same conditions, same everything. Would you do it again?
Not a fair question. Like, if you know the conditions beforehand and the trail, then it's not blind racing and it's not the kind of adventure. Would I take the same risk again? Yeah.
Okay. That's a good answer.
Yeah, I feel like an unfinished business. I would like to go back and finish it. Would it be the next trans race I do, though? Maybe not, because I really want to do Trans Madeira, and I really want to do Andes Pacifico as well.
I want to do Costa Rica bad.
But yeah, I'd go back. I feel like with it being the first year they ran it as well, I think a lot of the teething trouble, I don't think they'll have that the second time around.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is like, I think the organization will get, it has to improve. It improved while we were there. Like day 2 was a shit show, and by day 5 and 6, it felt like pretty good.
He was always very upfront about things not going well. And he was like every day, like, tell if anything's bad, tell me. He was like soliciting feedback the whole time. And I think he got some feedback, some nice, some maybe not so nice. But yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is easy fixes once you've done it the hard way, you know how to do it the easy way, I think. So
I think that because we were limited to one island and they had to like force a bunch of trails in, that we only would have run the good trails.
And the rain, I think some of those trails would have been better and some of those bad trails might have been okay had it not rained.
Exactly. Like the rain was really the worst in 20, 30, 40 years, whatever. So that just added into the organizational problems. And if it hadn't rained, if it was normal weather for the Azores for September, we would have had a lot of nice trails probably.
Yeah, but I think going through the battle of like how bad the conditions were, I think it really helped for the bonding of all of us because I mean, it started out kind of cliquey, but by the end of it, I can't honestly say like I was even friends with King Leonidas by the end of it. I talked about so
I even like the Germans at the end. So, me being German is kind of funny to say, but when I showed up at the camp and after the first day, I was like, yeah, Germans being German, being pissed off by something not being organized perfectly and whining all the time. And I was happy to stay with all the British guys and Brian and staying away from the Germans. And by the end, they softened up really nicely and cool guys. But the first 2 days, not so much.
Yeah, I think going through the battle was made everybody become a lot better friends than the only time that I feel like there was ever any like that people weren't close was when there was a language barrier. Even the one Italian guy with the longer hair could speak some English, and I like the one that didn't speak English at all ended up buying me a beer, and he's like, no English, but like bought me a beer at the bar, and then like
smiles and fist bumps are international though, because we had dinner with him a few times, and he seemed to be loving it. I think like the challenge and stuff definitely helped on it. It was quite intimate as well though, because I think it was meant to be 100 riders, but obviously COVID like called that down to 50, and then with only sub 40 getting out there, I think it was really easy, it was really hard not to get to know everyone else there. If it'd been 100 riders, you'd have probably still met, some people would have met all 100, some people would have met 50, but it might have been a little bit more like a couple of different pockets because it was small, like everyone just spider rifle, which is quite cool.
And pretty much the reason why I would take the risk again. Like, I like the adventurous character of the event. I like the blind racing. I like problems to overcome, like not just racing, but there were other problems to overcome. And the single best part for me about this whole event was meeting all these great people like you guys. And really, I'm still full of energy from that week. I feel it in my workday as well. And I hope it's going to stay because this really pumped me up a lot. I'm thinking of buying a new bike tomorrow. So, I'm really full back into biking right now. And I love it. I just want to keep it going.
That's an excellent send off. What kind of bike are you looking at?
I found a really nice used bike that I've been looking at a little bit before, a Nikolai ING13. It's a trail bike with just 130 millimeters of travel, but it has a really extreme geometry. You've probably heard about it. The Mojo UK guys have been doing that with Nikolai.
Okay. We don't have Nikolai.
Geometron.
Just because of downhill racing.
Yeah, exactly. It's Geometron, yeah. Mm.
He's agreeing, but he doesn't know what it is.
Well, good luck. I don't know what it is. Said Mojo. I know what Mojo is.
That's another lifer bike to go with your Raw Madonna. Though. That's another.
Yeah.
Still be going strong bike.
I looked at that bike, kind of liked it, called up the guy, and I kind of saw the pattern. Like, this is a trail bike, but it's almost as heavy as my Madonna. So, there seems to be a pattern going on.
It makes you strong.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining. Any closing thoughts? Brian really wants to review his beer.
I do. I've had like 5.
Oh, do that. What kind of beer do you have? Show us.
I have an Arvon Brewing Sour called Fruit Puff.
Arvin, check him out.
It probably different meaning in the UK, right, Gareth?
Yeah.
What's it mean in the UK?
Right. Probably shouldn't talk about it. No, we gotta hear it. We gotta hear it.
We can't go down that hole. Not very 21st century language we're allowed to use anymore.
All right. But it's a sour. It is with berries, vanilla, and graham cracker, and it is solid.
Graham cracker beer.
Out of 10.
Yeah, we have weird beers here because this is Beer City, USA. So we have like,
It's very true.
between the two of us, we have so many different kinds of beer on the table that we just been filling. But this is a sour, which I don't even think is a European thing at all.
Out of 10, what do you get? What do you give it? For the style.
For the
a lactose sour. What would you give it?
I would say it's my third favorite sour I've had from them, so I'm going to give it
From them, okay.
7. I like their pineapple one the best.
Yes.
And then the gummy bear.
Okay.
What are you drinking there, Gareth?
As a wise man once said, you can have any beer you want as long as it's a Corona.
As long as your family.
Yeah.
You also live a quarter mile out of town.
It's the most exported beer in the world. Oh, excuse me.
Speaking of
No, I drink mainly shit beer.
Dom, I saw you're sipping on whiskey, aren't you?
No. It's moonshine. Thanks to my ex-girlfriend, she did that. It's
Kudos to her.
clear liquor made into a, how do you call it in English? I don't know. In German, it's actually liqueur.
Yeah.
So it's sweetened and then flavored with apple and cinnamon. So
It's like an apple.
really good.
We call that apple pie here.
Oh, okay.
I did like apple pie.
Looks like whiskey, right?
In
in Canada where they put like vanilla schnapps and you gargle it, and then put cinnamon in your mouth and then whipped cream, and you have to do it upside down when you drink it. Like people hold your legs in the air.
Actually, over here, barbershop, we had one of our Native American friends taught me to apple pie. You boil it down and you add like cinnamon and nutmeg and stuff to it. And then, it's cider. It's really good. It's a long time to make though. It's like kind of a big ordeal.
It is.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass. But it's good and it gets you drunk. So
what are you drinking, Brian? Or what was your favorite beer tonight? Let's go with that.
Favorite, obviously it was the Miller. All day. I am moving on from my pissed offness from Founders, I think. But if you ever pull racist bullshit again, I'm gonna be mad again. Next beer I had. That's all I have to say about Founders. I can't say good things about Founders. Black Rock's Nord Sky is probably my new all-time favorite session IPA.
It's good.
It is phenomenal. And Black Rock's is the bomb. And
they're a bike-centric brewery.
They're in the UP. They are what everyone else probably thinks is Wisconsin is actually part of Michigan. Our Upper Peninsula. The other beer I had was the Three Floyds Barbarian Haze IPA, which is this new beer that has infiltrated Michigan. They are from
Indiana, I think.
They're from Indiana. I said how they're from Indiana, right?
Munster,
Indiana. Yeah. Mm-hmm. People go nuts over their beer over here now, and it's good. Yeah, it's good. I wouldn't go nuts over it though. It's okay. But the Black Rock's Nord Sky, 11 out of 10. Get it.
Solid.
So, and the international favorite, the Miller Lite.
We've been doing work over here.
Yeah, see it. Next time you come over, you have to bring me all your favorites.
Yeah, send care packages. We've got a bunch of weird stuff.
We got some weird shit. It doesn't ship well sometimes. Those beers, if they get too warm, they explode. So.
Okay. No.
They put a big PSA out over like July 4th. They're like, all right, you really have to cool our beers, otherwise you're just so.
If you guys come over this way, I'll like go out I got a few friends that are big into the craft beer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm still waiting to get into it. Like it's like with coffee. I never really got into coffee, and it kind of confuses me. But apparently, craft beer's off the hook here at the minute, and craft gin's a thing in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, we have that too. We've got distilleries,
gin bars popping up everywhere.
We've had even this here too. Yeah.
You interviewed that beer guy that went to all the breweries in Michigan. How many breweries?
Yeah, it was like 320. I biked with too. Like 300 some breweries in Michigan. I had no idea.
Wow.
It's killing it. Biked with him too. He's a big biker, so good for him. He asked her to, burn off all those beers.
Happy you guys can stay up late enough to
thank you guys.
Hang out.
Appreciate it.
No worries.
Gareth, Dom, hell yeah. Keep rocking on. Come to Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah. I will.
Rock it up.
Come visit.
You too, man.
Absolutely.
If not Grand Rapids.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe not Grand Rapids. Well, no, you got to come to Grand Rapids for the beer, so you have to come here.
Yeah, I pack up tomorrow and I leave for the World Cup. So.
I saw your post. You got the game.
Yeah.
I did. I got the camping version of it because they were sold out of the real version.
That's going to be some gnarly drinking games.
Yeah.
That's what I said it should be. Well, thank you guys so much. I won't take up any more of your time. It's been, long. So thank you guys so much. It was awesome to meet you guys, to have you guys on the podcast. I think it's just really awesome to have these international races. I wasn't even part of it. But I kind of got to be part of it through this process. So thank you for that. And this is awesome.
Probably a couple days, week before it comes out.
Yeah, probably a bit before this comes out. I think this will probably go off on like its own episode, and then our like live stuff that I had with you and Dom, and then we had Phil in there for a hot sec.
Yeah,
that'll probably be its own like episode. So we'll figure it out. But I think there should be probably good to go here shortly. Larry says he's so sorry he had to go. He's
a new dad.
He's a new papa. He's going to take over dad duties, and he said thank you guys so much for joining. He's super pissed he had to miss it, but daughter takes priority. So
yeah, sure, good priorities.
Good priorities. Oh yeah. Was in for the butt wipe. So we planted the local roots toilet paper seed in his brain. His local roots is
yeah. I want some of that. I want to see it.
Yeah. It was really good talking to you guys again. Cheers.
Yeah, too, man. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.